What does a man become when the uniform he wears represents absolute evil, but the act he contemplates represents absolute good? This is the story of a single, silent decision made in the shadow of the swastika, a decision that defied the very core of the Nazi regime and would echo through decades of silence. It involves a brilliant Jewish pianist marked for death, and the one German officer who dared to see a musician, not a statistic. For years, this tale existed only as a rumor, a faint whisper in the archives of the Holocaust, because the truth was too dangerous for anyone involved to ever speak aloud. We will trace their perilous journey, uncover the staggering risk, and reveal the profound legacy of a sacrifice that was meant to be forgotten. Stay with us as we piece together this hidden chapter of human courage. If you are drawn to stories where history's moral lines are drawn not by nations, but by individuals, consider subscribing. We explore the shadows where such truths are kept. September 11th, 1944. 0630 hours. The misty fields of Camp Kemp, Surrey, England. Barbed wire fences glint under a pale sunrise, cutting sharp shadows across the dew-soaked grass. The air hangs heavy with the scent of damp earth and coal smoke from the guard towers. In Barrack 7, Lieslot Briner clutches her youngest son, Klaus, to her chest. His small body burns with fever, his breaths coming in ragged wheezes that echo like accusations in the dim, crowded room. You can almost hear the crunch of boots on gravel outside, precise, unyielding. British soldiers from the Royal Military Police, their khaki uniforms starched and impersonal, push open the creaking door. Sergeant Harold Wilkins leads them, his face a mask of duty, eyes avoiding the cluster of women and children huddled on straw mattresses. "Mrs. Briner," he says, his voice clipped with that unmistakable Midlands accent. "The children. Now." Lieslot's heart hammers like artillery fire. She's 29, a widow from Dresden, captured during a botched evacuation attempt across the Channel earlier that year. Her husband, Oberleutnant Karl Briner, fell at Normandy. News delivered in a crumpled telegram that still hides under her pillow. As a civilian internee classified under POW protocols due to her auxiliary nursing role in the Wehrmacht, she's been here for months, scraping by on rations of watery soup and hard bread. But her children, Friedrich, 9 years old with his father's stern jaw, Anna, 6, with wide eyes that once sparkled like the Elbe River, and Klaus, now limp in her arms. They're her anchor in this storm. The camp physician, Lieutenant Dr. Reginald Cavendish, stands behind the soldiers, his white coat smeared with the grime of endless rounds. "Diphtheria," he mutters, adjusting his spectacles. "Confirmed cases. The boy's throat is swelling shut. They need proper isolation and antitoxin. Things we can't provide here." His words slice through the air, clinical and final. Lieslot pulls Anna closer, the girl's tiny hand gripping her frayed skirt. Friedrich stands tall beside her, trying to mimic the soldier's posture, but his lower lip trembles. "Mama, why are they here?" he whispers in German, his voice cracking. The soldiers move forward. Private Ellis, barely out of his teens, reaches for Klaus first. Lieslot's arms tighten instinctively, a low moan escaping her throat. "Neen, Neen," she pleads, her English broken but desperate. "They are sick, yes, but I care for them. I am nurse." Sergeant Wilkins sighs, a flicker of something, pity, crossing his features. "Orders, ma'am. Hospital in Guildford, Royal Surrey County. They'll be treated proper. You stay here. Regulations." He gestures to the guards flanking him, their Lee-Enfield rifles slung but ready. The room erupts in murmurs from the other internees. Polish women, French collaborators, a scattering of Germans like her. One elderly Frau from Berlin reaches out, her bony hand on Lieslot's shoulder. "Gott shoots a Dyke," she whispers, but there's no stopping it. Private Ellis pries Klaus from her grasp, the boy's weak cry piercing the dawn like a siren. Anna screams, kicking as another soldier lifts her. Friedrich fights back tears, marching stoically but glancing over his shoulder at his mother with eyes full of terror. Liselott lunges forward, but a guard bars her way. She collapses to her knees on the cold floor, watching through the open door as her children are loaded into the back of a canvas-covered lorry. The engine roars to life, tires churning mud, and they vanish down the rutted path toward the camp gates. The silence that follows is deafening. Liselott stares at the empty space where they stood, her hands still outstretched. What if they don't survive the journey? What if the British decide they're too much trouble? Her mind races with horrors. Stories whispered in the barracks of families torn apart, never to reunite. 2 days. That's what the doctor promised. Updates in 2 days. But as the sun climbs higher, casting harsh light on her solitude, Liselott wonders if she'll ever see their faces again. Dawn breaks gray and relentless over Camp Kemp. Liselott Briner hasn't slept. The barracks feel cavernous without the children's restless breathing, their small bodies curled against hers for warmth. She sits on the edge of her straw pallet, staring at the crumpled telegram about Carl. Yellowed paper, official stamps, words that still burn. Fallen for Führer and fatherland. Now this, another loss, sharper because it's uncertain. You can picture her hands trembling as she folds and unfolds a tiny sock left behind by Klaus. Soft wool, darned a dozen times. The other women give her space, murmuring condolences in a mix of accents. Polish, French, German. Frau Kessler, the elderly Berliner from yesterday, presses a tin cup of ersatz coffee into her hands. Trink, kind. You must stay strong. But strength feels like a distant memory. Roll call at 0700. The camp commandant, Major Alistair Thorne. A stern man with a clipped mustache and eyes weary from years of war, reads the names mechanically. When he reaches Briner, Liselott steps forward, voice steady despite the knot in her throat. Any word from the hospital, sir? Thorne shakes his head. Not yet. These things take time. His tone is kinder than usual, perhaps remembering his own daughter back in Kent. The day drags like barbed wire across skin. Liselott joins the work detail in the vegetable patch, knees sinking into mud as she pulls weeds. The rhythmic motion is the only thing keeping panic at bay. Whispers ripple through the camp. Diphtheria is ruthless in children, swelling throats until breath stops. Antitoxin is scarce even for British civilians. What chance do enemy aliens have? She pushes the thought down, focuses on the earth under her nails. By afternoon, rain lashes the fences. Liselott huddles in the barracks, listening to stories from the others to distract herself. One woman, a French collaborator's wife, speaks of losing her son to typhus in a Vichy camp. They take them to save them, she says bitterly. And sometimes they never come back. Liselott's chest tightens. What if the soldiers lied? What if the children are gone forever, buried in some unmarked grave to hide the failure? Evening brings meager rations. Thin soup, a slice of black bread. Liselott can't eat. She lies in the dark, the barracks filled with coughs and murmurs. Every creak of the floorboards, every distant engine sound, makes her bolt upright. Is that the lorry returning? No, just the guards changing shift. September 13th arrives with fog thick as despair. Another roll call, another day of waiting. Dr. Cavendish visits briefly, checking the remaining cases. The hospital wired yesterday. He tells the commandant loudly enough for Liselott to hear. The children are stable. Treatment progressing. Stable. Not thriving, not cured, just holding on. Liselott clings to the word like a lifeline. But as the second day wears on, doubt creeps back. No visit, no letter, no sign. The camp gates remain closed to her world. What if stable is just a polite way to prepare her for the worst? What unimaginable thing might happen before nightfall? September 13th, 1944. Late afternoon. The light fades over Camp Kemp, turning the barbed wire a dull gray. Liselott Briner stands at the fence line again, fingers curled around the cold metal, eyes fixed on the empty road beyond the gates. 2 days exactly since the lorry took her children away. No word, no sign. The doctor's vague reassurance, stable, echoes in her mind like a hollow promise. You can sense the weight pressing on her chest, heavier with every passing hour. The other women avoid her gaze now, their pity too raw to share. Frau Kessler tries once more, offering a crust of bread. Eat, Lieslot, for when they come back. But the words ring false even to her. Then a low rumble, distant at first like thunder rolling in from the channel. Heads turn. Guards straighten in their towers, rifles shifting. The rumble grows, tires on gravel, an engine straining under load. The same canvas-covered lorry emerges from the mist, mud-splattered, headlights cutting through the gloom. It slows at the gates. Sergeant Wilkins steps out first, barking orders to the driver. The back flap drops, and there they are. Friedrich stumbles down first, taller somehow, clutching Anna's hand. She's crying softly, but alive, cheeks flushed, eyes bright. Then Private Ellis lifts Klaus, the boy wrapped in a clean blanket, his breathing steady, no longer the desperate wheeze that haunted Lieslot's nights. Lieslot runs. The guards don't stop her this time. She drops to her knees in the mud, arms pulling them in, 3 small bodies against hers, warm, real. Friedrich buries his face in her neck. "Mama," he whispers, voice breaking. Anna clings to her skirt. Klaus, weak but awake, manages a tiny smile, fingers tangling in her hair. Sergeant Wilkins stands back, clearing his throat. "Royal Surrey did right by them, ma'am. Antitoxin arrived just in time, shipped from London stores. The little one's throat cleared overnight. Doctors said they pulled through because we got them there quick." He shifts uncomfortably, then adds quieter. "They're yours again. Regulations bent a bit. Commandant approved it." Dr. Cavendish approaches, nodding confirmation. "Diphtheria's beaten. They're weak, need rest and good food, but they'll mend here with you." Tears stream down Lieslot's face as she holds them tighter. The barracks door opens. Women pour out, murmuring in relief, some weeping openly. For the first time in months, a fragile hope flickers in the camp. Not victory over the war, but a small mercy amid the cruelty. But even as joy floods her, Lieslot knows this war isn't over. Her children are back, alive against the odds. Yet tomorrow the fences remain, the rations stay thin, and somewhere out there the bombs still fall. What fragile thread held their lives together in those critical hours at the hospital? Morning light filters through the narrow barracks windows, softer than before. Lieslot Breener sits on the edge of her pallet, Klaus asleep against her side, his breathing even and deep for the first time in weeks. Anna braids strands of her mother's hair with careful fingers, humming a half-remembered lullaby from Dresden. Friedrich stands watch at the door, peering out at the guards as if daring the world to take them again. You can feel the quiet disbelief still hanging in the air, like waking from a nightmare only to realize the monsters paused, not vanished. Last night, after the children were fed extra milk and bread from the medical stores, Sergeant Wilkins lingered outside the barracks. He lit a woodbine, the smoke curling in the cold, and spoke low to Dr. Cavendish. Lieslot overheard fragments through the thin walls. "It wasn't supposed to happen this way," Wilkins muttered. "The antitoxin shipment, meant for British evacuees from London. Blitz kids with diphtheria. But the lorry got diverted. Orders from higher up. Priority to the internee children at Kemp. Signed by some colonel in Whitehall who'd lost a nephew to the disease in '41. Cavendish nodded slowly. "And the hospital," Matron Hargreaves refused to turn them away. Said, "They're babies, not bloody Nazis." Overruled the administrator who wanted to wait for separate facilities. Lieslot presses her lips to Klaus's forehead. Still cool now. That was the thread, thin, almost invisible. A grieving British colonel. A stubborn matron. A diverted convoy of precious serum crossing bomb-scarred roads under blackout. One delay, one air raid, one bureaucratic hesitation, and her children would have been statistics in a file marked regrettable losses. Friedrich turns from the door, eyes older than yesterday. "Mama, the English doctor, he gave me a sweet, said I was brave." He holds out a crumpled barley sugar, saved for her. She takes it, the small kindness stinging more than cruelty ever could. Across the camp, word spreads quietly. A German woman's children saved by British medicine meant for their own. Some internees whisper of propaganda, others of miracles. Major Thorne makes no announcement, but the guard's glances soften, just a fraction. Liselott knows none of this erases the wire, the war, the hunger. Her husband is still ash on a Normandy beach. Dresden burns in her dreams. But in this moment, with her children's weight against her, she understands something new. Mercy doesn't always wear a uniform you recognize. Sometimes it arrives in a mud-splashed lorry, driven by men who look away so you don't see the conflict in their eyes. The war grinds on. Bombs will fall tonight somewhere. But here, in Barrack 7, 3 small hearts beat steadily beside hers. And for now, that is enough.